itself said that the language was dead after 10 years, which would have been 72, correct?
There are some witnesses.
And as I understand, there was wasn't there a constitutional amendment that was ratified almost 200 years after it was proposed?
Yeah, but is there not language? I mean, you didn't address my question, Chairman. There's language in it that says after 10 years it's dead, right? That would have been 72.
It's in the resolving clauses,
Okay.
but not in the language of the amendment itself,
thank you.
and that's the argument made in the resolution.
Okay, are there those who would like to speak in favor?
Yes.
Okay. Please come up, identify yourselves,
Okay.
say your piece.
I'm Diana Goskew, the Virginia Now president, and to answer your question, first of all, that is the complaint that people say that the ERA is dead. There was a time limit. The time limit was in the proposing clause, not in the body of the amendment, so it is not dead time-wise. In 1995, the Attorney General in the state of Virginia answered a letter to Delegate Marshall. He asked that same question, was it dead? And the Attorney General told him, no, it wasn't dead. All the constitutional lawyers have said it's not dead. We have a number of them who've said that.
Thank you.
And so we know it's not dead. I hear that all the time. Congressional Research Service in reports to Congress said the ER is still legally held, timely, or contemporaneous, viable, fair, and just. And what you were talking about, the Madison Amendment, is the 27th Amendment. That was 203 years old, and they got it passed through the legislatures, and it counted the original 9 colonies that needed 10 to get it passed. 9 voted, so it died. It just laid there for 203 years. And they got it passed, and the 27th Amendment allows Congress to up its pay 2 sessions in a row. So that was an important thing to do. And this passage of that amendment nullified the arguments that the ERA is dead. The time limit, like I said, is in the proposing clause. It's not in the body. The Supreme Court in Coleman versus Miller said that regardless of a time limit, Article 5 of the Constitution said states still have the power to ratify the ERA. It is up to the states to give an up or down vote, but not to determine its viability. And in 1995, as I said, the Attorney General of Virginia pointed out this fact, the Coleman versus Miller plus the Supreme Court decision. It's important to do this, very important to do this, because this is the only guaranteed right we have is the right to vote. We would like another amendment which guarantees the right to keep all the laws in place that have been passed, say Title IX, Title VII. Without an ERA amendment, these things can disappear tomorrow. Congress can repeal the laws. With the ERA, it'd be very hard to do that. Title IX disappeared for 4 years because the Supreme Court said that Congress did not, Congress did not mean to say that schools had schools had to spend the money on equal teams, and so it took Congress 4 years to pass it again. In 1972, the Supreme Court decided that the 14th Amendment also covered women, but this has often been ineffective to support women's constitutional authority. And recently, Justice Scalia said that the 14th Amendment does not give women equal rights, so is there a new Supreme Court decision to come wiping out decided law? And for me, the reason why we need this, as I said, was because it is necessary to guarantee that laws don't disappear. I'd like to be 100% citizen, not a 2/5 citizen, or 4/5. And 40% of all women are the support of their families. They've lost their jobs. We only make 77 cents to every dollar. So if the husband's out of work, we are saying to our families, this is a family value, that they shouldn't be allowed to make 100% of the money. So it would add to the coffers of Virginia if women were making 100% and still have more tax dollars. And this is a civil rights issue, and even the NAACP has said it's a civil rights issue. And I'd like to think about women in the military at this point in time. They fight and die in Iraq and Afghanistan. They've lost limbs, but they're fighting for a constitution that they're not in. So how is that fair? So I'd like you all to think about your daughters. Is it fair to them that they don't have equal rights? Your wives, your mothers, we just like to be full 100% citizens. That's my argument.
Thank you, ma'am. Delegate Sickles is here now. Do you want to speak?
Well, I don't think I could top that, but I just wanted to say I put this amendment in the House mainly because Justice Scalia really recently made news. It was all the papers that our Constitution doesn't protect women on an equal basis. So I thought maybe this is the time, since he is the most preeminent conservative justice and theorist and intellect in the country, that maybe we ought to take a step to get the last 3 states on board to ratify this amendment. And I really came today because Senator Tyser is ill, and so I said, why don't you come up and speak to it? And I didn't hear all the testimony. I'm sure they covered all the substantive points.
Sure.
Senator Martin.
These are not critical questions at all, but they're important for me to know the answer to. I look at this, I just can't see how it will. I couldn't see how it would be opposed to equality of rights for women and men. It should, under the law, everyone should be equal. So where, in what way are they not right now? I mean, I know this language isn't in the Constitution, but help me understand in a practical way in what way women are not equal under the law presently.
Well, the 14th Amendment, the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution, does not apply to women, according to Justice Scalia. And so, the Congress just had to pass a law recently on the Lilly Ledbetter case, where the Supreme Court, it was decided on another technical ground, but that women should make equal pay with men. So, I think there's been legislative, statutory efforts made to close the gap, but this is such an important subject that it needs, and I'm not one who is advocating constitutional amendments be added to our Constitution willy-nilly, but this is, to me, a fundamental, very fundamental proposition, whether all of us here have equal rights. If you think they're already out there, that's good. I don't think the facts on the ground show that.
Well, that's what I'm trying to ask you right now. Could you give me some facts on it? You got the equal pay thing. That's not under the law. That is in the workplace. Are they getting paid equally or are they not? And that's well, no, I'm sure they're not. Not what I'm saying, but that's a different issue. But under the law, help me understand, are there some sets of circumstances that you could point out to me under the law where they're not considered to be equal, regardless of...
Mr. Chairman, can I take a stab at that?
Yeah, please.
Senator, I think the argument is this, and you heard it said in a different, on a different constitutional amendment that was just proposed by Senator Obenshain that you supported, and that is Senator Obenshain was trying to make sure that things are not chipped away in the area of property rights. If the 14th Amendment does not apply to women, then certainly their rights can be chipped away at. And so this is, if you'll pardon the phrase, this is prophylactic.
And so women are not protected under the 14th Amendment?
That's according to Justice Scalia. I may have a different view, but he seems to...
Can I say something? I get this all the time, that they say it's already there. But if you think about it, if we don't feel that respected, and if we don't feel we have our rights, and every day you go out there and you face it, and we know that. I have a friend who's a black lawyer. She told me she faced more discrimination as a woman than she ever did as a black. And we feel it, we see it, we know it. And even if you say, well, it's there, you feel it, we don't, and humor me, give me the rights I want to have.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, I understand that, and regardless of what language is ever in code or is ever in law, people are going to be discriminatory in what they do. But my concern here is under the law. Are you protected equally under the law, not how your neighbor may treat you and that sort of thing?
Can I say it's Title IX and Title VII and a lot of those laws.
Senator Martin.
I'm sorry.
If I might, the question is legal. Personally, I'm not a lawyer. You are. Justice Scalia is more of a lawyer. If he says one thing, he certainly must believe it, and he certainly carries more weight. I'm shocked to hear hear that because I would think that all of us at this point, whether by sex or by heritage or race or whatever, should be being treated equally in the law and have the protections, equal protections under the law. And I'm just trying to get to the issue of not what we experience when we go outside our house by our neighbors and coworkers and the discomfort and all those sorts of things. You know what? People are going to be what they are, regardless of what code says and what the Constitution says. I'm trying to get more to the issue of whether the protection is there under the Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Are there others who are compelled to speak in favor of this? Yes, ma'am.
I'll speak briefly, Mr. Chair and members. Ann Sterling, League of Women Voters of Virginia. Every time this proposal has come before you, we have stood to ask that you ratify. I would like to suggest that something has changed since the last time it arose, and that is Virginia has entered a world where we know now as a Commonwealth that it's the right thing to do. And I would really like to just ask a brief question of Senator Martin. Senator, is there anything that would be of great objection to you to see it pass?
Yeah. Well, not in the business of me asking questions, but
I'm not.
when someone asks a question on here to probe something, it doesn't imply all the time that they want to.
Indeed. I would just say that Virginia has moved on. Our world has changed. I'd like to speak in behalf of my husband, my 3 sons, the men in my neighborhood, and the men of this Commonwealth. I know the men of this Commonwealth would also live in a better Virginia if we just did the right thing, and we'll save ourselves so much trouble in the future because you know we're going to ratify it. Let's do it this year.
Thank you.